For companies that manage large capital projects requiring goods and services from a global network of suppliers, manufacturers, and agencies, a focus on efficiency and risk management is imperative. Inconsistent, disconnected processes in complex supply chains can create leakages, delays, and potentially business failures. Take, for example, a multinational oil and gas company that was constructing a major new facility involving significant investments. To carry out the capital project, the company needed to engage suppliers from across the world, generating thousands of purchase orders. Major commercial engagements were governed by framework agreements, yet the company knew that this did not ensure governance. A lack of linkages between the frameworks and child documents like NDAs, partner agreements, and POs raised the risk of non-compliance. At the same time, the sheer volume of unstructured data that came with each purchase made it difficult to draw insights and recommendations for the business. The company knew it needed visibility and traceability across the project lifecycle in order to ensure the project was a success. The oil and gas company engaged Icertis to leverage Icertis' unrivaled expertise in the contract lifecycle management space to transform its thinking about procurement and accelerate, protect, and optimize its business. The Icertis Contract Intelligence Platform structures and connects the contract information that defines how capital projects run so companies can run them better. Thanks to an unmatched ability to model complex parent-child relationships, Icertis can push master framework data into surrounding systems and pull data and spend and delivery systems to monitor compliance. The AI-enriched platform can draw from active and legacy contracts to provide recommendations for contract drafts and terms based on past contracts, supplier performance, and contract compliance analysis. The ICI platform makes all this data easily accessible with a real-time dashboard that tracks and manages the end-to-end contract lifecycle, which can often involve hundreds of documents and process activities. This makes change management easier and reduces the need to train users. The oil and gas company derived even more value from ICI with the ICI Sourcing application, which streamlines the source-to-contract process to ensure full compliance, minimize risk, and provide a more holistic view of supplier relationships. The Sourcing app allows flexible configuration of prerequisite contract documents like NDAs and confidentiality agreements, which prospective bidders must complete before they can have access to the published RFP. The Sourcing app also helped the oil and gas company to set up the evaluation process, manage approvals at different levels, define delegations of authority, assign project value, and establish qualification criteria, which all help the company develop a contract strategy. The ICI platform lets procurement and legal professionals manage the varied portfolio of agreements seamlessly. Trained AI models extract data and surface meaningful information from across the agreement portfolio. Lastly, ICI helped users track framework agreements for the existing supplier base, which allowed the organization to quickly create new contracts that comply with the project requirements, and procurement and legal professionals could easily search and reference a project's framework agreement on the ICI platform, thereby increasing business efficiency. The intelligence system enabled the company to set up an initial screening process using a questionnaire and multiple rounds of qualification for suppliers to make sure that the organization adhered to stringent compliance requirements. For example, it was mandatory for every supplier to sign an expression of interest before entering the bidding process. Shortlisted suppliers were then taken through the final round of qualification before they were further selected to submit a commercial proposal. In such large-scale projects, the suppliers submit their bids through a sealed envelope process. That is, no one has access to the bids unless approved through the system. In the pre-award phase, suppliers can seek clarification from the buying teams called inbound clarifications. Since each of these clarifications provided by the company is equivalent to modifying or incorporating a term of engagement, each clarification request goes through a stringent process. The stakeholders validate the clarification and the final response goes for approval before being shared with the suppliers. Once suppliers submitted the bids, a bid evaluation plan was put into effect. Once approved by the stakeholders, the bids went for a review. After the bidding process, commitment agreements are created for the winning or awarded supplier. ICI ensures that the commitment agreements are in sync with the framework agreement for the awarded suppliers. These commitment agreements inherit all of the clarifications that have been provided and documents that have been submitted by suppliers in the qualification process as artifacts for compliance purposes. Upon final award recommendation, the contract moves into execution, where both the internal signatories and contract signatories sign the final draft. The ICI system allows secure collaboration between the buyer and supplier through a single portal where they can review contracts, submit red lines, and upload the compliance documentation, all of which remains associated with the framework agreement. The process dashboard captures the entire end-to-end process and details the current status of each task in the project, giving buyers full visibility of the large and complex project. Using ICI, the company organized and linked the entire capital project, with documents all stored in one location. ICI enabled the organization to improve compliance and the overall source-to-contract process. Talk to one of our specialists and find out more about how the Icertis Contract Intelligence Platform turns contracts from static documents into strategic advantage by structuring and connecting the critical contract information that defines how an organization runs.